Hello subscribers, welcome to your weekly exclusive series, James and Loki's Gems of the Week. Let me get Loki into the frame. There he is, dozing on the job, as you are accustomed to seeing him contribute to these videos. Let me share my desktop and we'll launch right into the content, which is all the tweets that I liked on Twitter over the past week. I will talk about all of them in off-the-cuff, ad-lib style. There is no show prep involved in making these videos, but last week's episode was nearly 69 minutes. So if you want to know what this tweet was about, you can go check it out from last week's episode. Jim Farley talking about software at Ford and how he's up against a much bigger problem than Tesla is. Since then, what tweets have I liked? Well, on July 8th, after shooting last week's video, I liked this tweet from Martin Vieca, Vice President of Investor Relations at Tesla. An EV has to travel for about a year to break even with an ICE car. Right, Loki? Yeah, Loki will tell you. That's what's going on. Let me check the door, make sure there's nobody trying to deliver a package or something. No, just people outside making a racket is all that's going on. And Martin provided a graphic, which is helpful, showing a single Tesla vehicle avoids 55 tons of CO2 over its life. And even if I click on this, these buttons won't go away. That's funny. Can I click away? No. All right, so you got a chart here that shows, sure, manufacturing an EV emits more pollution than manufacturing an ICE vehicle does, but driving an electric vehicle emits far less pollution than driving a combustion vehicle. So it's only a matter of time before the electric vehicle's lifetime of usage becomes cleaner than a combustion engine vehicle. How long? A very short period of time, about 1 year, according to most experts who have studied the science and determined the lifetime pollution footprint of vehicles comparatively. Let me move my camera here so we keep Loki in the frame and we don't miss him doing cute things like yawning. He may try to eat the rest of his breakfast. We'll see. Next is a tweet from the Short Shorts historian. This day in Tesla Q history, I really thought Brad Munken would not be around in 2023. At Brad Munken 4 years ago, do you really think Tesla will be around in 2021, is what he asked. On July 7th, 2019, yes, Tesla is still around with a stock price far higher than Brad Munken would have guessed on the 7th of July, 2019. Next is a tweet from Matt Wallace, at MattWallace1701. A $41,000 Ford Lightning with a $35,000 market adjustment, bringing the total to over $75,000 for a base entry-level truck. Ford, this is why y'all can't sell your EVs, because of dealership practices like this. Now, dealerships aren't stupid. Why would they tack on $35,000 extra to the MSRP of a base model vehicle? So there's different reasons. Sometimes they're just trying to anchor that vehicle because they don't want to buy any more of it. And they want to have one on their lot, but they want to have only one on their lot. And that's how they manage to do it. Like there may be a requirement in their agreement that they have to purchase at least one, so they do, but then they put this crazy markup on it so that if they do sell one, it'll at least be worth their time. How do dealerships make their money? Most of the profits at dealerships come from service after the sale and from financing. So these companies want to sell you financing, they want to sell you insurance, and they want to sell you free oil changes, or as close to free as they can afford to charge them. Why do they do that? They want your vehicle in their shop. They want the opportunity to find something wrong with it that they can fix, right? They want to be able to tell you, hey, it's time for a transmission flush. That'll be $600. hey, you need to replace this or that part, and the parts and labor are going to be $1,000, right? That's where the dealership is making all their profits, and they don't get that opportunity with an EV because it never needs an oil change, right? If you're bringing your EV back in, it's to get the tires rotated, and that's all you need, right? Very, very little maintenance required on an EV, and dealerships hate them for that reason. That's one of the reasons you might see a huge markup on an EV at a traditional dealership. The next tweet that I liked came from Elon Alerts, at Elon_alerts. This was one of the accounts that posted profits that they made over the past week. Ad sharing revenue. My ad sharing revenue, if you would like to know, was $0. I made no ad sharing revenue at all because I did not meet the qualifications for having more than 5 million impressions in each of the previous 3 months. I had it in 2 of the 3 months. My other month, June, I only had 3.8 million impressions. It was the only month out of the past 10 that I had fewer than 5 million impressions, which is enough to disqualify me. So I get none of the ad sharing revenue since February, even though I would have qualified to receive revenue sharing for February, March, April, or May. None of that counts because in June, less than 5 million people saw my tweets. All right, so what tweet did Elon like? It's the vehicle safety report visualization that I made. You get a lot of original content creation from my account. I saw a lot of other accounts getting revenue sharing that don't create a lot of original content. This was my chart. I made a separate video about this one you can go check out and hear me explain what's going on here. You're a lot better off in a Tesla with autopilot. You're a lot safer with only a 1% risk of collision over a 4-year period versus over an 8% risk of collision if you're in the average U.S. vehicle. And a lot of U.S. vehicles are less safe than average, right? So your odds could be higher than that if you're in a pretty old vehicle. Get into a Tesla as soon as you can is my not financial advice. Next, a tweet from Teslanonymous. Multiply this low probability for accident with the highest safety scores they get in crash testing. You get the actually important crash safety metric. Teslas avoid being in a collision, and then if you're in a collision anyway, you have the lowest risk of injury. This metric is way more important than other compelling reasons for Teslas, such as low cost of ownership, high family fun, lowest maintenance, best technology, etc. You're not only far likelier to avoid a collision in a Tesla, you're also far likelier to escape serious injury with arguably 6-star crash safety in a Tesla that other brands don't have. They can't compete with how safe Tesla is. 6 stars doesn't exist, but if it existed, Tesla would be 6-star safe in many cases, and hardly any other brand would for any of their models. Here's a tweet from the Short Shorts historian at Tesla Historian, this day in Tesla Q history. When someone from Tesla Q says no need to worry, you need to worry. Here's a tweet from Jurabilis. 4 years ago, consider yourself lucky. Just like Tesla charts, I doubled down around 180. That's why I hate this stock and will continue to hate it until the end. Hashtag SIAs, hashtag Tesla Q. Guilty as charged, however, there's no need to worry. We all know Tesla Q is a 0. Well, the people who call themselves Tesla Q may, in some cases, have taken their portfolio's value to 0, but the company they refer to as Tesla Q is not a 0. Tesla now worth many hundreds of billions of dollars. At the time, back here in 2019, it was never even worth $100 billion that year. Here's a tweet from Pablo's Broke at Pablo's _roundup. I am sick of comments saying the Plaid is a one-trick pony. Here's the Nürburgring Times. Nordschleife, Nürburgring, famous racetrack for seeing how good your sports car is all around. What was its Nürburgring Nordschleife time? The Enzo Ferrari, an extremely fast, multi-million-dollar car, turned in a time of 7 minutes, 25.21 seconds. You can see the Tesla Model S Plaid finished a tiny fraction of a second behind that time. So if you would like to get performance almost as good as a Ferrari Enzo on this trip, I mean, doubtless a different driver on a different day could beat this time. Here's the other cars that are coming in just behind the Model S time. A Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63S, Chevy Corvette C6 ZR1, Nissan GTR, Pagani Zonda, a true supercar brand, FCLB SPT, coming in a couple of seconds behind the Plaid's time, and a great video here showing the Model S flying through that race course. So yeah, one-trick pony, only acceleration. That's all the Tesla Model S has. Well, the counter-argument to that is this video showing that Tesla is beating these Italian and German-engineered super sports cars. Here's a tweet from Earl of Threads app. At 28 delays later, Threads app, of course, being the competitor to Twitter, the extremely similar-looking Twitter competitor from Mark Zuckerberg, the parent company of Facebook, has released an app called Threads. It's not getting the kind of engagement Twitter gets. Retweeting 28 delays later, or 28 years later, is now the title of the threequel to the 28 Days Later series of films. OMG, an FSD documentary in the works. That's Earl's joke here, that it's going to take 28 years for FSD to become robotaxis. Here's one from Farzad Mizbahi at Farziness on Twitter. Wanted to give Herbert Ong a big shout out for all of the awesome content he's been putting out. Your hard work, consistency, and quality content speaks for itself. So I was one of many people who liked that tweet. Here's one from Holmar's catalog. I made a video about this one, giving Grant Belden the business for his dumb decisions to short Tesla. You can go check that video out if you want. It's in my YouTube video feed. So a couple of tweets there from Holmar's catalog doing likewise. Here's one from Roland Percher. China reported 74,212 Tesla sales in June, the fourth best month ever, with plus 74% growth compared to the previous month, so sequentially up 74%. Best quarter ever, record quarter, and plus 14% quarter over quarter, so up 14% sequentially. Up 50% year to date versus the same period in the prior year. Now that's a little deceptive because in the prior year, Shanghai lockdowns limited the amount of vehicles Shanghai could produce. But year to date is 67% of last year's total already as of June. So that's pretty great. I'll let you look at this chart while I sip some coffee. So those are the sales in China. Sometimes when you see CPCA data, it includes exports. So in this case, it's not including exports. Model Y is the #1 selling EV in China. Here's another tweet. In June, 80% of Tesla Giga Shanghai production was sold domestically in the Chinese market and 20% was exported. So a little bit of the wave still going on in China, with a lot more vehicles sold in the third month of the quarter. Here's June 22. But still plenty of vehicles on the water headed to other destinations in Europe and the rest of the world. Here's a tweet from Matt Wallace that I liked, at Matt Wallace 1701. Well, I have officially been off the grid for over 24 hours. My house has been powered entirely by Tesla Solar, and my 2 power walls Even in this Vegas heat, I'm beyond impressed at Tesla Energy, at Elon Musk. All right, so great tweet there. Here's a tweet from Alan, at Alan91524744, retweeting Alex A. Voigt, yet their volumes have gone dramatically up in China at the same time, and again, global EV market share tells a different story. Car market share is what matters. Separating EV market share from it is an artificial distinction. Yes. One chart that tells you everything from Alex. Let's look at this. The fading presence of foreign car makers in China, the height of the bar represents unit sales in 2022, so how far the bar is. Height is a weird word to use there. So how far the bar is from the vertical axis, the y-axis, is unit sales. Change in unit sales. Percent change in unit sales. Okay, all right, so Tesla sales are up by 35% in 2022 versus 2021. Everybody else is down. And then the thickness of the bar is the total number of units sold. Okay, so VW is still selling lots of units, but they're selling less than they were selling in 2021. This is a confusing chart. I liked it, but I'm not even sure you can make a chart like this in Excel with varying bar widths. So yeah, still a lot of vehicles being sold by GM, Nissan, VW, Honda, but they're selling less than they were a while ago. Toyota just barely keeping even on their sales. And this is total sales, not just EV sales. So you're seeing what's happening in total. Even if their EV sales are up, their total sales are down. That ought to be the metric you would care about if you were an investor in any of these companies. Yeah, how's their total business doing? That's what matters, not just the EV component of their sales. Elon tweeted, watching pick-in-pick video while scrolling this platform is great. Yeah, you may not know you can do that, but if you're watching this video on Twitter right now, full frame, there's a mini player button at the top right, at least in my app. Not all platforms or not all interfaces for Twitter have the mini player button yet, but most of them do, and they're working on getting it to all of them. So just a little arrow with a smaller window icon is the mini player icon. You click that, it'll minimize the video, and then you can drag it wherever you want on the screen, wherever makes the most sense for you to keep browsing Twitter, seeing your notifications or your timeline or whatever. That's a feature added since Elon took over. Really, only a few months that feature's been around. Here's one from Sawyer Merritt. Carvana announced that the Tesla Model 3 was its best-selling EV in units sold in the first half of 2023. So Carvana must be mostly a U.S. company to have that much in Model 3 sales. Model Y and Model S also on the list here in 5th and 6th place. That's kind of amazing. Other notable tidbits, 51% of vehicle shoppers now indicate they are considering an EV. 40% of their EV options are under $25,000. Carvana has seen a 786% increase in EV sales in the past 5 years as the transition from combustion engine vehicles to EVs continues. More and more evidence mounting all the time. Here's another one from Sawyer Merritt. For context, the average days of supply in the auto industry right now is about 56 days. So Tesla is way below average. I noted that in the last video that I recorded. By my numbers, Tesla reported production and deliveries in Q2 representing 17 days of sales, still less than 20 days of sales, way less than the auto industry average. As Tesla's quarterly delivery numbers increase, naturally so will inventory. The more vehicles you produce, the harder it gets to deliver them all by the end of the quarter, right? If you go from producing 1,000 units a day to producing 30,000 units a day, it just becomes logistically more and more difficult to get all of those vehicles sold, right? Tesla is killing it, plain and simple. So here's a tweet from Troy Teslake. He's retweeting. Tesla's inventory was 99,615 units, or 16 days of supply at the end of Q2 2023. So my number very close to Troy's. The industry standard is to use 75 days in a quarter. I'm not sure if that's how Troy did his math or not, but still real close to alignment on that. Here's one from Stephen Mark Ryan. I can't show you because it's a subscriber-only tweet. So if you subscribe to Stephen Mark Ryan on Twitter, go watch that. Here's one from Elon Musk. Incentives matter. The current system incentivizes overspending, so we get overspending. He's replying to Historic Vids with Warren Buffett explaining how to end the U.S. deficit within 5 minutes. All you do is you make it an automatic term limit. You say any time the spending of the U.S. government exceeds revenues by more than 3%, all members of Congress are ineligible to be reelected. That's how you do it. That's it. Incentives matter, is what Elon said. Make sure that people have incentives aligned to the outcomes that you want. To the degree that those are misaligned, you're not going to get a desirable outcome. Here's another tweet from Elon Alerts. Elon liked a tweet from me, James Stevenson. Misinformation about how Tesla is competing abounds. I found some independent research on how the 3 largest BEV markets are doing. So go check out this video if you want to know how EV market share is doing. Tesla is gaining EV market share, not losing it. But EV market share isn't even the most important metric, as Steven Spencer pointed out in the next tweet that I liked, at @Spencer_SMB. He's going to be on TV on Fox News the day after Tesla earnings on Fox Business channel. So go check that out if you want to see him live on TV. Tesla has continued to grow market share in Europe, and their new factory has doubled production since the fall. So here's the chart from Tesla's earnings release. Somebody put their watermark on it, which is kind of funny. But yeah, you can see in the US and Canada, in Europe, and in China, Tesla's market share is increasing over time. This is an up and to the right trend on a 12 trailing month basis, stripping out seasonality. So that's the way you want to look at trends. And the trend is up. Here's a tweet from Walter McVeigh. Wait, if they sold twice as many as he suggested, according to his math, he would be 100% wrong, right? What's he replying to here? Oh, it's Facts Chaser. This idiot, this troll, this Tesla Q member saying something dumb. He said, in 2023 year-to-date, 9 out of 10 BEVs sold globally are not Tesla. Well, he just made that up, and it's not true. So I replied, so you just tweet lies now? LOL. Let me guess, you meant to type 7.99 out of 10, and it got messed up by autocorrect, as you can see here. Tesla has 20.1% of the global EV market share. So that's where Walter's comment comes in. Hey, 20% market share is twice as good as 10% market share. So yeah, he was 100% wrong. He was off by 100% on his claim that Tesla only had 10% of the electric vehicle market globally. Here's a tweet from Jim McPherson. People scream and debate all day on Twitter, while Tesla's #FSD beta safely drives thousands of people to work every day in silence. Yeah, Tesla, the team at Tesla is quietly going about the business of making FSD work, while people on Twitter scream and debate all day about whether it's happening or not, whether it's a big lie, fraud or not. People are just driving around in their Teslas piloted by FSD beta. Now, hopefully, they are doing as Tesla instructs and paying attention at all times and being prepared to take over. But many, many, many millions of intervention-free drives have already taken place. in Teslas. I know several of them have been my Tesla driving me to my destination, doing way more than 90% of the driving, and in some cases, no interventions at all. So at MCJAMEZ is Jim McPherson's Twitter handle if you want to go follow him. Here's another one from the Short Shorts historian. This day in Tesla Q history, nah, more like horror story. At Wall Street Critic 4 years ago. So this is Michael King at Wall Street Critic, longtime Tesla hater, short seller, skeptic, and troll, who tweeted, on July 12th, 2019, a year from now, Tesla Q will be known as a great American success story, Tesla Q being the short sellers. He's retweeting Trevor Page, saying Tesla Q only cares about one thing, destroying a true American success story. They're the antithesis of patriotism. Yeah, it's pretty mean to bet against an American company if you're an American, right? That's not how Michael King felt about it. You can find a lot of back and forth between me and Michael King at Wall Street Critic if you want to go search for our Twitter handles. He was wrong a lot, and I tried to tell him, and he would not listen. Here's a tweet from Roland Percher at PILOLY on Twitter. Not sure I gave his handle earlier when we saw his charts. Oh, Gordon, you make mistake after mistake. You were talking about 23Q2, but you're showing data from June alone. Here you can see where the minus 4.8% year over year from June came from. Last year, Tesla was delivering in waves, so 1 to 2 months of the quarter was almost nothing. And then the deliveries of the quarter were heavily concentrated in the last month of the quarter. That has changed this year, as you can see. The effect was also more pronounced last year because of the Shanghai shutdown in April and May. May was a half month of production, but most of the deliveries shifted to June. Now let's take a look at the bigger picture in the quarter you were talking about. So Q2 year over year is plus 77%, but since last Q2 was affected by the lockdown, I wouldn't take that into account. This is Roland being beneficent in his admissions, saying, hey, it's not a fair comparison against a prior year when the factory was shut down for a while. The growth from 22 Q3 to 23 Q2 is still 30%. So if you compare against the following quarter, an even more recent quarter, only 9 months earlier, it's still up 30% with a chart here. So what is now lie and what reality? So here's 23 Q2, a record for Tesla sales in China. And you can see the first month on this view is green, the second month is yellow, the third month is red. 158,000 vehicles sold in China in 23 Q2 is a record, breaking the record set the previous quarter, which broke the record set the previous quarter, which broke the record set the previous quarter. 4 straight quarters of record sales in China for Tesla. So great tweet there from Roland. I would love to show you what Gordon Johnson tweeted, but he blocks me, and it's a lot harder now for me to see tweets from people who have blocked me because Twitter has turned off anonymous access to tweets. So I used to be able to go to a private browser and pull up tweets anonymously, and you can't do that anymore because Twitter won't show it to you due to all the large language model companies now trying to feed all of Twitter's data to their company for free. Twitter had to take action, and the action they took prevents me from showing you what Gordon Johnson's tweet was. Here's a tweet from K10 at Kristen Netton. The 365th follow just seems like it should be celebrated with a cake. I guess at XAI became a new Twitter handle last week. And the 365th follow was Elon Musk subscribing to Kristen Netton, K10, original member of the Tesla Third Row podcast crew. So great to see Elon following and subscribing to K10. So great work there by Kristen Netton. The next tweet that I liked came from Electro Timmy on Twitter. Electro with a K. NIO is one of the first manufacturers on the market to mount an ultra long-range LiDAR sensor on the roof of their cars, but unfortunately, it doesn't help. They are expensive sensors that are unnecessary. So the comparison in this video is showing you the Teslas stopping in every case for the testing done by Euro NCAP. You can see their watermark here. And the Neo vehicle with the LiDAR mounted on top smashing right through. People, I don't think I showed you that full frame. So here's the Neo, just blasting right through these adult-size and child-size pedestrian mannequins. Even though they have LiDAR, the LiDAR does not help if you don't have good enough software. The sensors don't matter if the software doesn't work. Here's one from Tobias Lind at Toby Lind on Twitter, TOBILINDH. The application documents for expansion of Giga Berlin will be made public next week. This part of the expansion will double the vehicle production capacity, for which a new big production building will be built, and the battery production capacity will be doubled as well. So if you're not following Tobias Lind, great boots on the ground information from near Giga Berlin. So good info here, retweeting Giga Berlin Gigafactory 4 at Gigafactory_4 on Twitter, talking about plans to expand this factory and double its production. All right, another tweet from Sawyer here. News: Tesla now states on their website there will likely be reductions to the $7,500 EV tax credit in the U.S. for eligible new Model 3 buyers after December 31st, 2023. So this may have to do with the percentage of batteries produced domestically. Batteries for the Fremont Model 3, I think, are mostly being bought in from China, and that is not one of the approved countries itemized by the Inflation Reduction Act. So if you want to get a Model 3 and you want the full $7,500 federal EV tax credit, go ahead and do that between now and December 31st, 2023. Otherwise, you may not get that incentive. Next tweet from Josh West, 24/7. Model S Plaid is an absolute workhorse in the past 2 weeks. Here are some of its astonishing accomplishments. And I'm not going to read them all to you because it's a long list, but you can freeze frame it and read these if you want. Just a lot of fun being had by Josh 24/7 with a cross-country trip in a Model S Plaid and smoking a lot of sports cars along the way and doing a lot of regular luxury sports sedan stuff as well. So I had to retweet that and note, hey, Volkswagen, if you want to know why people aren't buying your BEVs, maybe use this as your checklist. Is it fun? Is it fast? Is it great performance? Is it, capable, long-range, recharging, all the things that were in that list? If not, maybe make your EVs more compelling, and then more people will buy them. Just spitballing here. Make the product a great value, and then people will be more likely to buy them, is the theory at work there. Don't believe clickbait headlines. I like this tweet from Elon Alerts. I didn't retweet this one, but I did like it. Data proves you're far safer in a Tesla than in the average vehicle on the roads today. This was the video with me talking about that chart that Elon liked. So he liked the chart and he liked the video that I made about the chart. Next to tweets from Siconic at SICONIK1. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Evergreen with a screenshot of Mark B. Spiegel from 7 years ago with a reply to an article titled Tesla's $102,000 electric Model S surges like a supercar. His comment said, sure, the initial production will sell out for a year or two, but I predict that then this will be a 2,500 unit per year niche vehicle / novelty item, unless perhaps gas heads up to European prices. All right. So funny stuff from Mark B. Spiegel, who thought the Model S was a dead platform walking. Here's one from James Catt. Maybe you should lay off the predictions, Brad. LOL. I was one of 103 likes here. I didn't reply to this tweet from Motorhead Brad Munkin, who said, by 2025, Tesla will be a distressed asset again. just just in complete denial that Tesla is one of the financially strongest companies there is. Have you heard of Altman Z-score, Brad Munkin? Have you compared Tesla's financial ratios against the most valuable companies in the world? The quick ratio, the current ratio, debt to assets. Yeah, he either hasn't or he has and he refuses to acknowledge the truth. Here's one from Dark Dutchy, apparently M something or other. Dutchy Wiegans has changed his display name. Not me, but it seems people would be incentivized to steal someone else's work and tweet it versus a retweet. Pay me, Twitter. I have since learned that he ripped this off from somebody else who tweeted it mere moments before he did. And then he was retweeted a couple of times, so then I had to retweet that because it's funnier the more times it gets retweeted. The next tweet that I liked came from My Tesla Weekend. This is Brian White at 4K Podcast. He's consistent, persistent, and very good at transferring other people's money to those of us who can read. You gotta give him that. Replying to Sawyer Merritt, who said Porsche sold 1,635 Taycans in the U.S. in Q2, a 35% drop year over year. So the Taycan not selling very well. It never sold very well, so it's selling less well than the not very well it was selling a year ago. I replied, so I guess Mark B. Spiegel was wrong again, retweeting myself from September 7th of 2020. What's remarkable about this hilarious May 2018 presentation by longtime Tesla short seller Mark B. Spiegel isn't that he thought Tesla would soon be crushed by competitors' superior EVs. It's that he and so many in Tesla Q somehow still believe it today. And to this day, 3 years later, they still think the competition is coming to crush Tesla. The Tesla killers are on their way. They'll be here any minute. The Tesla killers are going to represent the demand cliff, and Tesla's going to be structurally unprofitable again, and the more they sell, the more they'll lose. All the greatest hits from Tesla Q. Here's one from Cobus V at CobusV19XX on Twitter. Here's a fun fact. Stanfield Capital has since inception grown by about 155%. Since 2011, so about 12 years. That's not a very good compound annual growth rate, meaning someone who invested $100,000 with him then would have about $250,000 now. Someone who invested that $100,000 in Tesla against Mark B. Spiegel's strenuous objections would have made $17 million. So that was fun. I was one of 3 people who liked that tweet. Here's a tweet from Elon Musk that I liked. Update coming soon. Who's he replying to? It's Holmar's Catalog at Holmar's Blog on Twitter. The steering wheel nag is actually making things more dangerous at this point. It will be history soon. Which Elon appears to be confirming here that in a future update, before very long, the steering wheel nags are going to stop because the eye monitoring software has gotten so good, it'll be able to tell if you're not paying attention and nag you. All right, next is a tweet from Zanegler at Henrix Zane on Twitter. I had some thoughts about how to safely capture some video of the Tesla Semi versus diesel semis going up a steep grade. The average grade ascending the Donner Pass is 7%. This other figure is incorrect. We learned in the comments below, Carsonite corrected that there aren't any double-digit grades on U.S. interstates. This is some of what I captured. Tesla runs these semis daily, fully loaded, up this grade and on other routes to uncover any issues and remediate them before they begin volume delivery. More on this later. So look at the Tesla Semi smoking these other semis that are struggling to climb a 6 or 7% grade at Donner Pass. Sorry, I just have to take a drink every so often. This is a lot of talking. I am, how many minutes? 40 minutes into this video now, almost. Here's a tweet from Elon Alerts. Elon Musk liked a tweet from James Stevenson. Just don't forget to take your dose and OD. What could I possibly have been talking about here? Well, the thread began with Richard Dawkins with a video talking about the absurdity of homeopathy. Now, I apologize if I'm going to offend.
This is the pseudo-medical belief. It goes back quite a long way, that the way you treat a disease is by or a problem is by giving a very, very small dose of whatever the offending thing is. And by very, very small dose, I mean very, very, very small. I mean, they dilute and dilute and dilute and dilute and dilute. So much so that I think James Randi once calculated that they think that the more you dilute it, the more effective it becomes, which is crazy, obviously. And he calculated that for the most effective, according to them, homeopathic remedies, you would need a volume of water the size of the solar system with a single molecule of the active ingredient in it.
All right, so that's a very silly video there that Elon reacted to by saying the placebo effect in the limit. So I had to make the same joke I saw James Randi make when talking about homeopathy. I stole this joke. He had a much longer build-up to the story than I did. I tried to make a one-liner quip out of it. Just don't forget to take your dose in OD, because the more dilute the active ingredient, the more powerful the effect is. So you might overdose if you forget to take your dose, because that would be the strongest dose, is not any at all. All right. Next, a tweet from Sawyer Merritt. Twitter has released the requirements to join the Creator Ad Revenue Sharing Program. To be considered eligible, you must be subscribed to Twitter Blue or verified organizations, have at least 5 million impressions on your posts in each of the last 3 months, pass human review for creator monetization standards. Twitter says it will soon launch an application process for ads revenue sharing. Creators will be able to apply for both creator subscriptions and creator ads revenue sharing by accessing monetization in their settings. So I was happy to see that Twitter published this information. I was unhappy that the information was published after it did me any good. If I had known that the bar was 5 million impressions, I could definitely have gotten more than 5 million impressions in June, as I did in each of the previous 8 months. I just, for whatever reason, didn't quite get 5 million impressions in June. So I'm going to stop whining about that right now and instead say thank you to all of you who subscribe, who value my content and support me. I appreciate your support more than Twitter does, based on the fact that I'm getting $0, and because it was June, no matter how many impressions I get in July and no matter how many impressions I get in August, I'm gonna be ineligible in those months as well. So I won't see any revenue ad sharing until September, even if the only month with less than 5 million impressions, which I believe likely is just the 1 month of June. All right, next tweet from Steve Hamel, but the headline there ought to be, thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Next is a tweet from Steve Hamel. Breaking, Tesla superchargers automatically call the local SWAT team if you stay plugged in once you reach your charging limit. That's a joke, before I go too much farther. To avoid getting a flashbang, blow up in your face, and the corresponding police invoice, please move your car as soon as charging is finished. So this is crazy video of a criminal, an alleged criminal, I guess I should say, being arrested in dramatic fashion by police who, pulled up to them and very aggressively threw a flashbang at the vehicle that was supercharging before running over with guns drawn to arrest whoever that Tesla driver was. So I don't know. Maybe they stole that Tesla? I'm making stuff up here. But crazy tweet there with a funny spin from Steve Hamel. You can follow him. If you're French, you may pronounce his last name Amel. But if you're an American or a lot of other people, you can just say Steve Hamel. That's fine. Next, a tweet from Sawyer Merritt News. 3 different versions of the Tesla Semi spotted today at Giga Nevada by Otto. Now, there's some dispute over whether these are three different versions of Semi or if this one just has the flaps extended and this one doesn't have the flaps extended. They may fold back over the rear in case you're trying to maneuver and hitch up. You don't want the extended arrow to be parallel to the motion of travel while you're doing that. So there may just be two different kinds of Semi here, the same as we saw at the unveil. But still, always good to see Semi info. Here's one from Whole Mars. Weird, the media told me Twitter was about to die. Retweeting Elon Musk, who said, looks like this platform may see all-time high device user seconds usage this week. Yeah. I won't be surprised either. There's been a lot to tweet about this week. Here's one from Yashu Sharma at Hey It's Yashu on Twitter. Spoke to someone today who said they will never buy a Tesla or any EV because the grid can't handle it and is bad for the environment. Dude, the grid in BC is all hydro-powered and costs 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Where the hell are you getting your anti-EV arguments from? This hedge fund manager on Twitter. Oh, this hedge fund manager on Twitter. So I'll make it up and say it's Tommy Thornton, right? If you're getting your information from @ThomasThornton, folks, you are not familiar enough with what he's been tweeting over the years. Just nonsense. The same you would find from any Tesla Q member, coming from some hedge fund managers. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess another one would be George Noble. Same exact thing. I could say Jim Chanos. I could say Gordon Johnson, right? The list goes on and on and on of brain-dead EV critics who happen to manage funds or claim to. Here's one from Ogden Birch, at Ogden Birch on Twitter. I wonder where folks got that idea. Who's he replying to here? It's Motor Trend magazine, as reported by Sawyer, who said you're wrong about EV fires. There's a car fire roughly every 5 minutes in America. The vast majority of them never make the news, but if a Tesla or a Chevy Bolt catches fire, it's probably on the front page nationwide and going viral online. What did Ogden Birch point out? A Motor Trend article, 2 dead in fiery Tesla Model S crash. A driver was determined to have been behind the wheel. Yeah. Well, there you go. You are 11 times less likely to be in a vehicle fire with a Tesla than you would be in a combustion vehicle. The clue is in the title. Combustion vehicle with a gas tank full of gaseous petroleum vapor is likelier to blow up and catch fire than a vehicle that doesn't have one of those. Here's another one from Sawyer. Just retweeting Tesla saying, first Cybertruck built at Giga Texas. Many people retweeted this tweet because I think we're all just so happy to see Cybertruck production finally begin. And the faces of all the people who are working on it that portend volume production coming soon. Here's a tweet from James Catt. With the first production truck made in Austin, Cybertruck has now entered step 3 of the cycle. Took a while to move from step 2 to step 3. Look at the date on this tweet, January 14th, 2022. James Catt said for Cybertruck we're on step 2 of the cycle. So it did take a while. What's the cycle here? Well, you got the Tesla business cycle over here, which we'll go through first. Tesla announces a new product, announces a delay to the new product, evidence builds for new product launch, supplier contracts, etc. New product launches, new product becomes category bestseller inside 2 years. What's this other cycle over here? It's Tesla Q's reaction to each of these stages. So when Tesla announces a new product, Tesla Q says, ha, stock pump, fake. It'll never happen, they'll never be built. In stage 2, they say, you see, I told you, it is so fake, LOL, Elon fraud. What's funny about this is the accuracy, the pinpoint accuracy of this. In stage 3, they say, okay, fine, maybe not fake, but I bet the specs will be terrible. Ha, still fraud. So they're not going to deliver what they said. In stage 4, when the new product launches, what's Tesla Q say? They can't ramp this, no demand, why would they even want to? And then when it becomes the product leading its category, whatever category it's in, Tesla Q says, I want my mommy. They very rarely say this out loud, which may be why it's in parentheses, but it's what happens. Next, a tweet from Haresh Kamani, hashtag FSD Beta Canada, on Twitter at HKHEMANI. Since we are quoting here, Brad Munkin, January 2020, he claimed, very much along the lines of what we just read, Giga Germany 4 will never be built. I can't believe there's even a discussion about this. So it'll never happen. Tesla announced they were going to build a factory in Germany. He even knew that it would be called Gigafactory 4, but said that it would never be built in 2020. I think within about a year, he was proven 100% wrong about that. Then Cybertruck will never be built unless Tesla has $1 billion for the CapEx a new platform needs. Well, since 2020, Tesla has been reporting about 20 times more cash on hand at the end of each quarter than the $1 billion Brad Munkin specified in this tweet, and Cybertruck is now being built. Here's a tweet from Holmar's catalog. Someone check on Gary and Ross to make sure they don't faint. Gary here being Gary Black and Ross being Ross Gerber, two longtime proponents of Tesla traditional advertising. Well, here you go. Traditional advertising in, I think this is an event a specific publication, not a magazine. It looks like a magazine, but I think they're handing these out at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in England. I think that's an annual event where they do a race, a very short race. I think there's like a total of 12 or 13 turns. A very, very fast race with a lot of entrants. Of course, going one at a time on a time trial basis. Here's one from Jim McPherson at McJames again. Today seems like a fitting day to remind everyone Taylor Ogan and his fellow Q cult members don't think the Tesla Cybertruck can roll over a curb, and it will never be produced. So here's a tweet from Taylor Ogan, who blocks me on Twitter, so I'm thankful for the screenshot. I think it's fairly obvious, Taylor said, that what is so ridiculous about it is that after all these years, it still can't easily get over a curb. Yeah, Taylor Ogan thinks Cybertruck can't jump a curb, same as any compact sedan could. Yeah, who's this reply from? SUBACH. This may be somebody else who blocks me. Any vehicle with 30-inch tires, except this Cybertruck prototype. It's too bad they're never going to produce this disaster of a vehicle, as seeing these things broken down all over the place would be hilarious. That person hypothesized. Here's another tweet from Kristen Netton at K10 at Kristen Netton on Twitter. Sharing a photo from the Cybertruck unveil that she had never shared before. So there she was in her cyber event getup. So they were handing out cool light up goggles and stuff for people who attended the Cybertruck unveiling event. And another one here from Viv at Battle Angel Viv, another member of the Tesla Third Row podcast, posing with Cybertruck, captioning it, Cyber is my number one. Here's a tweet from Matthias Fons with Tesla Q over here representing this woman. I'm not going to play the audio here. If you haven't seen this video, you know. You may not know what's talking about unless you've heard this audio before. This is a family channel on YouTube, so I'm not going to play her remarks here. But yeah, Tesla Q does not believe the Cybertruck is real, but this tweet shows evidence that Cybertruck is real and being produced. Here's a tweet from Elon Musk. Length of quote posts as seen on timeline will be shortened significantly. This tweet came out this morning or overnight. You will still be able to click through and see the whole thing, but quote tweets can't take up an entire screen. So it's going to have the show more after a line or two, is what I'm imagining. Ads will also be shortened in vertical height. Cost of an ad will be proportionate to its size. Well, that just makes sense. You ought to have advertisers pay for the amount of real estate they're getting in whatever view people have of Twitter on their device. Here's a tweet from Daniel at Danny from Space, retweeting himself. Spotted Tesla ad on volleyball competition in Hamburg, Germany. Tagging Alex A. Voigt, Real Meat Kevin, whose question has been credited as being the impetus or the catalyst for Elon starting to agree to do traditional advertising, along with Sawyer Gary and Tesla Boomer Mama Alexandra Mertz, who may be watching this video as one of my supporters. Thank you, Alexandra. So yeah, there you go. There's the Tesla logo shown at a volleyball competition. So more traditional advertising being done by Tesla. Here's a tweet I liked from Peter Leonard at Pete J. Leonard on Twitter. Q1 2023 revenue, that's this red bar here on my chart, is more than Q1 2022, you can see here. More than Q1 and Q2 of 2021 combined, that's these two bars. More than Q1, Q2, and Q3 of 2020, it's hard to read that. Here's those bars. And more than all of the quarters in 2018. So here's 21,461,000,000, because this data is presented in millions. So yeah, nearly as much revenue in Q1 as Tesla produced the whole year of 2019. So I thought that was a good tweet, so I liked that. We're getting close to the end here. This tweet was sent 6 hours ago by EV Evangelist UK at EV Evangelist, another one of my supporters. If you don't already have a cultivated YouTube channel to enhance your understanding and ability to articulate it, Tesla Daily at Tesla Podcast, Solving the Money Problem at Stephen Mark Ryan, me, Herbert Ong, Ark Invest, Farzad Misbahi, Dylan Loomis, Warren Redlick, Brian White, Dr. Know-It-All. See, I knew if I went real names, I was going to find somebody whose name I can't summon to mind. Lars, Autoline, Sam, and the limiting factor, Jordan Giesecke, here at the end. From this team of knowledgeable experts, you will curate an excellent source of deep knowledge. And I had to reply here, along with Brian White, who said, Rarefied Air, thanks for including me in such an exclusive list. Thanks, Brian. You're another one of my supporters. We both support each other. Yes, it's an honor to be included in such illustrious company, and anyone watching all those videos will have a top 1% understanding of Tesla and its competitive environment. So that's what those tweets were about. Thanks for the love and the shout out there. Here's another one from Earl of Threads app at 28 delays later. International signal for help. It's a funny joke. I don't think this is an international signal for help. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is. But it's just a funny joke from Earl. Along with this one, Alien Dreadnought requires this many people in several years to make one truck. Alien Dreadnought being a reference to Elon's forecast that in the future Tesla factories would have very few human beings. They would be able to automate almost everything. That was his hope for the original Model 3 assembly line, and as it turns out, humans are underrated. Humans are actually really good at doing complicated work. But Tesla does continue to work on autonomous robots that can replace some repetitive or dangerous work in factories. Then I've got a couple of tweets here that I liked from Gabe Wilson about a Wall Street Journal article, sharing screenshots with me for a paywalled article you'll see a video about soon. I just shot it earlier today. And another chart that I made a video about came from Alex A. Voigt. So go check out that video if you want my commentary on this tweet and its chart. And that brings us to the end of this video with the last tweet that I liked coming from Kyle Train Emoji on Twitter. It is not in the ocean, it's in an artificial lake made from an old coal mine. What are we talking about here? Well, it was Kyle's thread originally noting the progress China has made in renewable energy just this year makes the entire rest of the world look like it's standing still. I wrote in December that to call China the world leader in renewable energy was a colossal understatement. That's even more true today. Look at all these floating solar panels. And this is not the ocean. It looks like the ocean in these photos. But that's not the ocean. That is an enormous lake in China that has tons of solar panels producing, I would guess, many megawatts of electricity. To which Travis Heron replied, "You think putting stuff in the ocean is the move? You think it's cool to float all these solar panels in the ocean?" No, it isn't the ocean. It's an artificial lake. It's a man-made lake that has floating solar panels on it. It was formerly a coal mine, so thank goodness it's not a coal mine anymore. And that is my last tweet for this week's episode of James and Loki's Gems of the Week. We're going to finish just over 1 hour this week. As Loki continues to snooze, I will say thank you everyone for supporting me. I really do appreciate your support of my efforts to produce original content, despite all the complaining and moaning that you heard from me earlier. And if for some reason you're not subscribed to my channel on YouTube and you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a subscribe button over here you can click. And a special thank you to my 2 executive producers who support me in a big way by joining my YouTube channel at the top support tier, earning them executive producer credits and thank yous at the end of every video. Thank you, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com, and I'll see you in the next one.